Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's show, all about real estate investing. I met this young lady at a networking event for Grid. So, if you all are not a part of Grid, you're missing out. And she was telling us her story of how she bought this 2 unit building in Washington, D.C. And now, how she renovated it. Now she lives in one of the units, and the other unit is being rented. And I thought it was just a great story. Now she's looking for a second real estate investment property, if I remember correctly. And I just think it's a great story of how people get started, because so often we see people who are, they have 30 properties or 50 properties, but what about that person that just got their first one and all of the feelings are kind of fresh in your mind? So Jen Olson is in the building. Welcome, Jen.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Great, thank you. So, to everybody who is here, please like the video. Please subscribe to one of my channels, whichever channel you're on. And we're just going to jump right in. Jen is going to give us about 15 minutes. She's going to tell us a little bit about her story. Before she does that, though, if you need funding for your deals, SimpliFunded.com. We have funding for fix and flips, funding for long-term rentals. We even have a partner now who's willing to fund 100% of your deals up to a certain amount. That includes your closing cost and your construction, as well as the purchasing of those properties. So we've got a lot of partners coming in, and they are trying to deploy their capital. So simplyfunded.com if you need funding. So Jen, first of all, thanks so much for giving us a little bit of your time. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you actually got into real estate investing.
I love it. Great. So, my name is Jen Olson, and I live in Washington, D.C., although I'm from Southern California. And I never thought that I would go ahead and buy real estate on my own. I thought in my world, I'm going to get married and have a husband, and we're going to do this together. And then I'm still single, just so
Uh-huh.
you know. And I have been a contractor my entire life.
Mhm,
So I thought, okay, like I make enough money for myself. I'm good.
mhm,
And then I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I had heard about it for years and years and years.
mhm.
I finally read it. I put the book down and I called a lender and I thought, I need to do something different. I can't keep just like exchanging
Waiting.
my time for money and
Yes.
waiting. Exactly. And so I thought
Mhm.
I need to do something that's going to build an asset for myself because of that book. So that's how my mind and my world got open to the possibility that, hey, maybe I could actually do this.
So I think it's great, especially on the, following the weekend that Barbie came out, which if, when we were young girls, that we were sold this dream of you're going to get a man and you're going to have a white picket fence and 2.5 kids and all of that. And so many of us are like, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. And then you're waiting and waiting. And now, actually, I don't know if you heard this statistic, but there are more single women that own homes than single men. Did you hear that?
I have not heard that.
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
Okay.
Obviously, married couples like own more housing than single women, but yeah, the statistic just came out. So, Selfish Love is here saying the waiting for a husband has stopped a lot of women, unfortunately. Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. Jay Antoinette is here, so is Dawn Earth. So, welcome, ladies. So then tell us a little bit about, okay, you read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and I will say that that's the book that changed my trajectory as well. Um, and you decided to talk to your mortgage lender. What did you ask?
So I called, how did I even get this number? I don't even, there was a realtor that I had met
Mhm,
and I asked him, who I should talk to. And so he gave me someone's name and
mhm,
I called this person up and I just gave them a little bit about my background. And I
mhm,
knew someone in a similarly situated, like we were in the same career and we made about the same amount of money, although I had no debt and a savings and she had debt and little savings. And I called them and they said, yeah, you're not going to qualify for anything. Call us back next year. And I said, oh, okay, great. Thank you. Goodbye. And I hung up. And so
Mhm.
then I said, I need to call somebody else up because just because they said no to me, it doesn't mean that it's a no forever, right? And
Mhm.
so I'm like, if
Yeah.
this girl could do it, like I can do it too. And I have a savings. I don't understand. So I ended up getting connected with another lender, and they said, oh, we work with people who are contractors all the time.
Mhm.
They wanted to know that, hey, just because I'm 1099, the first one wanted to, be sure that my income was going to be increasing and it was a little
Mhm.
risky or whatever. But this other mortgage company was familiar with people who worked in my industry. And so they're like, yeah, we can definitely work with you. So I said, okay,
Yeah.
you want me? I
Which
want you. Let's do this.
So first of all, Craig is saying guys are in the building too. I love it. Welcome, Craig. And Women in Adjusting is here as well. So I love the fact that you did not give up on the first no, because so many of us do that. We get the first no and we're just like, oh, well, I guess it's not for me. Knowing that there are thousands of loan programs out there, there are thousands of lenders that are out there. There are even thousands of wholesalers that are out there. There's millions of properties that are available every single year. So, I think too many of us stop at the first no versus saying, okay, well, that person said no, next, like, let's move on, right? So, the other thing I want to say is that I had my own business for many years as well, and I was able to get a loan. I had student loan debt and all of that stuff. So, like, don't let anybody tell you that you cannot get funding. The people, there are a couple of programs for people who have credit in the 500s, things like that. So, anything can be worked around. So, Okay, so tell us a little bit then about the property that you bought, your first property, how you found it, like what kind of condition it was in when you found it, and how you actually got the deal.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. So, a colleague of mine had put an offer on this property. So, it's a duplex in Washington, D.C.
Mhm,
And he had been waiting, I think, 6 months to close. The owner had said that he had promised to sell it with no tenants in it and
mhm,
wasn't taking any action towards it. So he just got frustrated and said, okay, listen, you're not doing your end of the deal. I'm out. He found another property that he wanted. So I caught wind that he had removed his offer.
mhm,
And so I went ahead and contacted the owner or contacted a real estate agent. And then we went ahead and put an offer on the property. And so the condition of the property to me was not in living condition. So there
mhm.
was one tenant in there who is a sweet, sweet man who lived there for 15 years and he didn't have any heat. And this was like the winter in DC, like you definitely want to have heat. And the conditions were so poor. Like,
So the guy was a slumlord. Okay, you can't say that. I will say it because it sounds like that. Okay, interesting.
the bottom unit, so it's a duplex. There's a bottom unit and then a top unit. The top unit no one was living in, and
Mhm,
the top unit was actually in a little bit better condition.
mhm,
The heat actually worked, which was
mhm,
nice. So I said, this is perfect, although I can't have someone living here in those
mhm,
conditions. Like I would need to
mhm,
completely I was planning on renovating anyways, but I would need to renovate it because I wouldn't want to live in this place and I don't
mhm,
think anyone should. So I waited for the owner to do something. Nothing was being done, nothing was being done. And then I ended up contacting the tenant myself and
mhm.
I heard his story, which was um impactful. I said, I don't know why I don't want to say, we'll say Mr. W. I said, Mr. W,
Okay.
if you couldn't live here, like, where would you live? And he said, I guess I'd be on the streets for a little bit. And at that point, I
Mm.
had the choice, like, wow, do I make a profit and put someone on the streets? Like, I could not sleep at night. And that has never been my reality or close to my reality. And here I was talking with somebody where I could be the culprit for him being on the streets. And so we talked and talked and talked, and we went out to have breakfast. And then he was just looking for a place. We actually ended up finding a place that was so much better, closer to his work, cheaper, running water, electricity. It was like it looked like it had been newly renovated. And I told my friends about Mr. W so much because I loved him and somebody paid for his moving expenses and
Mhm.
somebody else, another friend, had paid for his first month's rent. just out of
So
their own
you
kindness.
solved the problem for him, and it ended up being better for him, and thus it ended up being better for you. So it's not that you totally put profit to the side, it's just that you worked around the scenario that you were given. Um, Women in Adjusting is saying, yes, amen. I need to get in touch. Jen is inspiring with us taking initiative. So you're
Mm,
inspiring people. Selfish Love is saying, I just set up an S Corp for a contractor so that she can receive a W 2 to qualify for a loan easier. Selfish Love is an accountant, FYI.
mm,
There's a way for everything, absolutely. And
mm.
Denise is in the building as well. Okay, so Mr. W was able to move, and then what? Then what
So
happened?
it took us a year to close. From the time I put an offer on until the time we closed, it took an entire year. And
Wow.
I finally said the last 2 months, I think I said, I'm willing to close with a tenant. And I had continued to forge the relationship and continue to look for places and continue to see what resources were available for him. So I had made my decision to deal with whatever there was to deal with, whether he was in or out. And timing worked out. I think he moved a week before I closed.
Mhm.
And so we closed. And I should know the date because it's like one of the biggest purchases I've ever made. I don't know the date. It was January of 2019. I just remembered it. January of 2019.
So that
So
was just before the pandemic.
just before the pandemic. Yeah, a year before. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And nobody saw that coming.
No, I did not see that coming. Nope.
So you closed, and then so both the units were empty. You
Mm-hmm.
closed on the property, and then you had to do renovations, right? Tell us a
Mm-hmm.
little bit about that process.
Yes. Um, and one thing I'll say about the process of like the year, so many people said if it's taking this long, it's not meant to be. And I
Mhm.
thought, I don't think that things in life always come on a silver platter. At least that hasn't been
Mm.
my experience. And so it
Yeah.
was interesting to be firm in what I saw as a valuable investment
Mhm.
and to not allow other people's opinions to
To
impact.
sway you.
To sway
Yeah,
me.
and
There we go, there we
yeah.
go. Yeah, which I think originally they might have. So anyways, so we finally closed, and then I thought, "Oh my gosh, I have this property and this mortgage. Okay, we could do this, we could do this." So, I had already, selected the, architect that I was gonna work with. So
Mm.
we got to talking and, created the plans, and it only took, a week to get everything approved with DCRA, which I hear is, miraculous, and so I was grateful for that miracle, to get all of the permits and everything taken place,
Mhm.
and then we selected a contractor, and this is where the story gets fun. So I selected a contractor, and, I called all of his references and they were all very positive, all very great. And we started working together. And so they did the demolition and I was like, okay, we're in it. Like it's happening. And, yeah. And then I lived just around the corner. I ended up actually
Mhm.
getting an apartment just around the corner. And so I would drive by my property multiple times a day to go to the gym, to go to work, to go here, to go there. Like it was just literally a 5-minute walk from where I was living. So I saw that people weren't at my house anytime I drove by. Yeah. And so that was
Yeah.
just peculiar to me.
So, what happened to him, first of all, and how much money did you give him and lose because of that?
Yeah. So I actually had a 203K loan. Am I saying the right
Okay.
numbers? I'm like
Yep,
40. Okay, okay. I'm like, I don't want to say a
yep.
retirement plan. So a 203K loan. So that means that, they would do some of the work and then we would get somebody to come in and
The
say, hey,
draw.
this is the
Mhm,
draw. Exactly. So
mhm,
I wouldn't give them money up front, right? To
mhm,
protect me. And then,
mhm,
there's kind of an insurance in place for the contractor as well.
mhm,
So we did that. We did, I think, we did a draw potentially after the demolition, and
mhm,
maybe we might have done 2 official draws, and then the 3rd draw, there was a lack of performance. I had given him, ample time to do what he said he was gonna do, and he continued to not perform, and I was so looking back, I was very, 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 very gracious, and so I kept it completely professional.
mhm. Oh, she froze.
Am I still frozen?
Oh no, I got you now. We
Oh,
got
okay,
you now.
sorry about that. And so we communicated via email, and there was just a lack of performance. And I had given him multiple chances to do what he said he was going to do, and he did not. So I went ahead and terminated him, and he wanted me to give him $40,000, and what was approved from, I forget what it's called, an assessor, or the gentleman who comes in to assess. It was a gentleman
Hmm.
at the point who comes in to assess how much work had been done. He had approved $2,000. So there's a big discrepancy in terms of how much money he said he had already paid out to his contractors, while
Hmm.
what had actually been done was $2,000 worth of work. So there was a big rub there, and he wouldn't
Wow.
sign the document. Yeah, he wouldn't sign the papers.
He wouldn't sign a release for you. So how did you have to pay him the additional money?
So I said, I told him that I would sort this out because this would halt until he signed the waiver. I couldn't continue. I couldn't hire somebody else. And I
Hmm.
thought, I don't want to continue this. I don't want to delay the project because that's delaying my income
Hmm.
from the property. And so I said, I'm going to take care of this outside of this arena. And so he ended up suing me, and he wanted to get I don't know how much did he ask for. He ended up asking for $20,000, and hindsight's 2020, but in the moment it's pretty foggy. And so he asked for $20,000, and I thought, he doesn't deserve that. I'll give him what he deserves. I said, I'll give you $2,000. And he said no. I mean, the lawyer said no. And then I went up to 5, and then I went up to 7, and then I went increments. And I said, when I got to 15, I told the lawyer, if he doesn't accept this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to I'm going to get someone else involved, another lawyer involved, to help with this. And he said,
Hmm.
okay, yeah, he doesn't accept it. So I went ahead and negotiated with a lawyer. So in the end, I ended up paying the lawyer 20,000 and him 20,000.
So that's
So
the 40,000 there. Oh my goodness.
I'm laughing about it. And at the time, I said, I can choose to be bitter and I can choose to be upset, or I can actually learn from this. And money comes and money goes. And so I thought, thank you, Lord, that I have the money to be able to pay for all of this and just to keep it moving.
Do you
Because
think that he took advantage of you because you were a woman?
that's a possibility. So I don't know his intent and I don't know his heart.
Mhm.
When I gave all of the communications to the lawyer said, he doesn't like you, does he? And I said, he doesn't talk to me in a way that I think is respectful, and I don't know his heart. So I don't know. He did ask me to leave a meeting with me, my architect, and him. And he said, you can go for a walk, and touch my shoulders and like push me off in a direction. And my architect said, this is her project. She can be in every single meeting that we have.
Yeah.
So there might have been a lack of respect for me, whether it's because I'm a woman or not. I cannot say. I don't know.
Did you
I
ignore red flags?
Did I ignore red flags? So in the going through the references, everything seemed to be so positive. I
Mhm.
couldn't. I'm like two different people once we started working together. And when I said I gave him a lot of grace, I would say those are probably flags that I didn't know. I hear working with contractors.
Mhm.
There's just a big story about working with contractors.
Yeah.
Not every single one, because the second one I hired was amazing. So I would say yes. Looking back, yes. And I don't know. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I did the best that I could, right, with my experience, which was none. And yes, I would say I did. Hmm.
So Craig is asking if the references were legit.
Oh, Mr. Craig R. Morton, that's such a great question. They seemed legit. I mean, I don't know if he paid actors for this, but they really seem legit. I asked about their projects, and they did say like, oh, like one of the person said, oh, something happened that we didn't expect, but he corrected it. Like they
Mhm.
weren't they yeah, like things were gonna happen in projects they didn't expect, but it all seemed to be
Yeah.
legit. Yeah.
Yeah. So, one of the great things about being a part of Grid is now you have a network of other real estate investors that could say, hey, work with this contractor, don't work with that contractor. So, the contractor is the person who can make or break your profit, definitely, So, and even us as a lender, we take really good, I won't say great precaution, but we do investigate, especially with our newbie rehabbers, we investigate like who's doing their rehabs as well. So that because that can blow back on us as a lender. So Um, Craig also said this is from beginning when you were talking about the previous tenant. She solved a problem, benefited from the empathy and her network. So and Selfish Love is saying, I started a reverse mortgage on my parents' home and I'm in talks with my neighbors to do the same. There is always a way. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, you just have to get creative these days. And there are definitely a lot of creative funding programs that are out there. Um, so, how did you find your second contractor and how did that process go until you completed your duplex?
Oh gosh, now I'm trying to remember who referred him to me. I was referred maybe 3 or 4 different, contractors, and I interviewed all of them, and I had them talk with my architect who's worked with countless contractors, and so the vetting process was different than the first time. So I can't even remember who gave me his name, but everyone I talked to again had really great reviews, and he was incredible. I mean, he's used me as a reference for other people, and I said 100%, hands down, yes. He did what he said he was going to do when he said he was going to do it,
That's
and
all we want.
communicated. That's it. And he communicated if there was ever a thing. Hey, we found this, but we didn't find this. Hey, this is going to take this long. It was
Mhm.
absolutely incredible. And he said the project is going to take X amount of time. I think it took 2 weeks over, and he communicated every single step of away. And I thought, this is what it could be like. This is amazing. It
Mhm.
really was. Yeah, it was amazing.
So we don't have much longer with you because we just got snapped you really quickly. So tell us about your process of finding a tenant, for your duplex. Because I know you live in one unit and then you have a tenant for the other one. What was the process for you finding that tenant?
Yes. So I was ready to get started in January or February of 2020. And I was going to do Airbnb because I thought, oh, I can generate more income this way.
Mhm.
And then that didn't pan out. This big thing happened globally where it kind of like stopped all traffic. And so
Mhm.
I ended up doing, there were a couple of friends who needed a place to stay. So I, rented it out. I was just trying different things. I did do Airbnb again for a handful of months. And I thought, you know what, with kind of my current commitments and whatnot, I'm going to just do long-term tenants. So since then, I've had some longer term tenants, like a year, probably like nine
Mhm.
months to a year, I would say on average. It's 600 square feet with 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms in each unit. So if you can imagine, it is a architectural masterpiece in terms of being able to squeeze all of that into that small space. So it kind of lends itself well for maybe professionals
Mhm.
or students or whatnot. So I can't foresee anyone. I mean, maybe someone would want to live there for a long time, but hey, it's just a tiny cozy place. So yeah, I've been able to have people come in, and it's been perfect for that. I'm actually having a traveling nurse come in just for a handful of months here, and then I'm going to look for somebody who would do like a year. So it was kind of the perfect gap to have someone a little bit shorter term, and then it's great because them, and then I actually had a really good friend renting the other room in my unit, and so with all of that, it covers all of my expenses, which
Great.
it's really nice.
That is really nice that you were able to, have this property that really pays for your housing. And I was listening to another gentleman. Actually, he was here last week. He talked about the fact that your housing is usually your highest, sorry, expense line item that you have. And if you're able to get rid of that, then you're able to take that money and put it into, other either investments or other things, paying off debt, etc. So, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
So you're looking for your next property now, huh?
I would love to have another multifamily
Another
property. I was
multifamily.
looking, yes, I've got a couple of girlfriends who were looking at potentially doing something together, maybe a 4 unit. And so, yeah, I would absolutely love that. So I would say within the next year, I'd love to get that done.
So Craig is asking, how do you identify short-term tenants, traveling nurses, professionals, grad students? So I can answer this. Those are mid-term tenants. So short-term tenants is Airbnb, right? Long-term tenants are your people who are with you for a year plus. They sign a long-term lease. Grad students and students period and traveling nurses, those are midterm, midterm tenants. And I know people who do well in all of those sectors. The one thing I will say about Airbnb, we have been discovering is that there are a lot of jurisdictions now that are making it illegal to
Well,
have Airbnb, or they're fining you like a lot of money. So just be careful. The people that I know who are still able to get away with it is if they have a lake house or some place like that that is more of a vacation spot than, you know, DC, I think even you have to have a license now in order to
mhm.
do Airbnb. Yeah. Loudoun County, Virginia is another place. There's like wine country on one side of it, and then, you know, families on the other side of Loudoun County, and it throughout the entire county, they made Airbnb illegal. So you can't do it. I think places in Texas as well, people are saying that you can't do it there now either. So the tides are turning with it.
Mm.
Selfish Love is saying, way to go, Jen. I'm so
Oh,
proud
thank you
of
so much,
you.
love. So sweet.
Living and Adjusting is saying, so you can buy a house or a duplex with less than a 620 credit score. There are programs out there where you can buy them in the 500s. You need to talk to a mortgage broker, not a banker, because the brokers have like a lot of different programs that they can put you into. But yeah, you can. That's amazing. Do you have a property manager?
I don't have one. So, uh, no, I do not. And when I move from DC, I would like to get a property manager. But for right now, I'm the property manager. Mhm.
Craig is saying, while I'm not a woman, I have four daughters. Does that qualify me to be evaluated as a potential partner on your next project?
If you've got those glasses on, then maybe. Yeah, those sunglasses on that little smiley face. I'm not only looking to do projects with women, but I mean, a couple of my
Craig
single
wants
friends
in.
running too. Yeah, hey, let's do it. Let's do it.
Patty is here saying, New York, you have to live in the property with your guest. Yeah, look, a lot of places are changing it up now. Um, and I think part of the reason was because the neighbors were having such a big issue. It's like if I have, especially if I have kids, I don't want random people coming in and out of the property next door. Like I want to know who those people are. So I think it was more so neighborhoods and neighbors that were like, oh no, we've got to stop some of
Mm.
this. Women in Adjusting is saying, yes, I would love to own a property near my university. Most of the students are international and are very responsible when it comes to securing housing. I cannot say enough. I know this guy out in California who's making a killing from student housing, like a lot of money. There are certain ways that you put it together. Um, Off topic, there's a group called the 10K Project that I used to run, and we did a web series on buying student housing and getting it fixed up, like how you get all the bedrooms fixed up and how you market it and how you find the right tenants and things like that. So Women in Adjusting, or anybody that wants to, if you all wanted to go over there, there's a price for that. What do you call it, that web series, but or webinar series, but it was really good. It was really good. I learned a lot from it. So Mentor Shelley is in the building as well, saying, hey everyone, how did you find the duplex? They're generally not listed on Zillow or other places. Well, Jen did respond to that before, but we'll let her respond again. How'd you find the duplex?
So there was a colleague of mine who had put an offer on the property and he backed out. And so I went ahead and stepped in. So I heard it through the grapevine, actually.
Heard it that's why we say network, network. Girl, Mentor Shelley knows this. Girl, get your networks together. Let everybody know that you're looking for property because, your church people, your coworkers, etc., they'll be the ones that bring something to you, bring an opportunity to you. Well, Jen, thank you so much for being here with us. If there's a final piece of advice that you have for people as they're thinking about getting into real estate investing, what would it be?
Yeah. I would say is well, from my experiences, the only thing that limited me from jumping in was my own mindset. So if there's
Mm,
something that you're just not taking action on, like look at your mindset and then create something that actually works to have you move forward in it. So, yeah.
great, great. And I just want to let everybody know, don't let funding be the reason why you're not getting your real estate deals. SimpliFunded.com. I have a lot of different programs available for anybody who is looking to invest in real estate. And with that, I will see you, ladies and gentlemen, on the next video. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.